Hello and welcome in. My name is Aiden Shields, aka The Sports Moron. This is episode 3 of the dumbest sports podcast in the world. So happy you could join me. I'm going to talk a little bit about NFL Week 4. The last game I didn't cover was Monday Night Football. That was the Rams and the 49ers. 49ers pulled this one off pretty easily, I would say. They beat the Rams 24-9. The Rams looked out of sync, unorganized. Their offensive line was a mess. And the 49ers, on the other hand, just looked good. They just looked like a top 12 team. The Rams, I think, are still in that conversation. They just didn't quite look it on Monday night. And there was a lot of factors that went into that. But first, I want to talk about the 49ers and specifically Jimmy G. So I think Jimmy G is the best quarterback for the 49ers just in general. I think he was going into the season, even with Trey Lance on the roster. He had kind of made this experience with the 49ers over the past 6 to 8 months or so since they were eliminated from the playoffs last year into this really weird situation. The 49ers obviously had a really big hand in that. Given they were going to move on from Jimmy G, they let it be known he said goodbye to the San Francisco 49ers fans. Trey Lance era was about to begin, and unfortunately Trey Lance gets hurt. For the 49ers, I don't think that's unfortunate in terms of their season as a whole. I think Trey Lance would have lost them a lot of games, given he hasn't really played any significant football in about 2 years. I think the next time he steps on the field, it'll be a little over 2 years since he's played meaningful minutes. He only had like one season, I think, as the starter in North Dakota. He didn't play at a great school against great competition. Then he came into the NFL and sat behind Jimmy G for a year. And then the Niners just said, all right, here you go. You are just by far the best quarterback on our roster. And goodbye, Jimmy G, which, of course, I think is just absolutely not true. Trey Lance had a lot of issues in the preseason. He had a lot of issues in the first game. Understandably, there was a little bit of weather going on there. And then he got hurt in week 2. Really unfortunate. I do hope he recovers okay. But Jimmy G has the experience and the knowledge to be a good NFL quarterback. He's been in the system for, I think this is his 6th season in San Francisco, maybe his 5th. But he knows the system really well. He knows the team. He understands how to play the quarterback position at a high level. And I don't understand why the 49ers were just willing to chalk the season with Trey Lance under center. That's ultimately what would have happened if he had not gotten hurt. So I think Jimmy Garoppolo puts this team in a much better position to win games and continue to make playoff pushes and potentially a Super Bowl run. Now, Deebo Samuel in this game, he just got broken off, and he broke off a lot of big plays. He is by far the best player on this entire offensive squad. I think that's the understatement of the century. He is far and away the best player on the offense, and he had a phenomenal game. So it was really great to see the 49ers really start to click, especially after last week. They just did not look good. Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't really on the same page as everybody else, and it seemed like, at least in this week against the Rams, they were more on the same page and everything was going significantly better. Now, what I need to know about the 49ers is how they manage to just plug in any running back in their backfield and they just automatically play like an all pro. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know what their offense scheme really is in terms of like the X's and O's, or maybe their offensive line is just absolutely vicious and they just open up these massive holes. I don't know what it is about the 49ers offense that allows just anybody to just, all right, off you go. You're going to have 18 touches for 75 yards in the TUD today. Good luck. I just picked you up from Walmart. yesterday. Like, I don't know what it is. And I get it, like these guys have worked their whole lives for this moment, but on the majority of teams, these guys are not NFL starters. They may be practice squad guys, but as soon as they go to the 49ers, it's like, all right, all pro, go for it. You are the best running back I have ever seen. And then you go to a different team and you suck. I don't know what it is. I don't know how it happens, but it is magical. And I love watching it. Now for the Rams, they did not look good. Matt Stafford drops back, and if his first read is not Cooper Kupp, his second read is Tyler Higbee. And if he's not throwing to Cooper Kupp on his first read, he's throwing to his second read, Tyler Higbee. And it is painful to watch. These guys just are the entire offense. The offensive line played very, very poorly. And there's a couple different reasons for that. They have a couple different guys on their offensive line who are injured. I think they have some guys like tackles playing guards, guards playing centers, guards playing tackle. Like nobody seems to be in their proper role. And so there's a bunch of communication issues. Not everybody's fully understanding what their responsibilities are. You saw Aaron Donald at least once just completely unblocked. How that happens, I have no idea, because if I'm the guard and Aaron Donald is lined up in front of me, or maybe he's, shaded on my outside shoulder, whatever it is, and my assignment is to block left, but my tackle's blocking, like, you'd think I'm not just going to say, fuck it, I'm going to ignore, whoever's the nose tackle on this play. I'm going to try to just chip Donald at least a little bit, but there was at least one or two plays where the guard just off he went. There was a whole other edge rusher coming in that the tackle had to account for, but the guard saw Aaron Donald and said, he's not a problem. We're good. No big deal. It's fine. Like, what are we doing? There's something there that's just not right and that's not clicking for the offensive line. And I feel like when you get on the field as an offensive lineman and you see Aaron Donald, the rest of the scheme doesn't matter. If you have to block Aaron Donald, just go, just touch him in any way, shape, or form. Do whatever you can to slow him get down, because the guy's a game record. But for whatever reason, a couple times they just decided, I'm not even going to look at him. I'm just going to run in the opposite direction because that guy's fucking scary. And I mean, I don't personally blame them. That's what I would do as an individual. Again, sports moron. All I do is have a camera. But an offensive lineman, I feel like, should go after Aaron Donald at least on every play. Just me, though. Just me. The Rams just have so many glaring issues right now, starting with their offensive line, that it's hard for me to have faith that they're going to continue to have a good season and make a playoff push. They're 2-2 right now. I imagine they'll squeak into the playoffs somehow if they can turn it around and start figuring everything out. But it does not look good right now. I think they're the 12th best team in the league. And that's this Super Bowl hangover is like just painful to watch, because it's not looking good. They're not the same team they were last year, and they really need to figure it out and figure it out quickly, because it's looking bleak. It's looking bleak. Now, in other news, the Steelers have moved on from Mitch Trubisky. They're going with Kenny Pickett. Moving forward, he's their rookie first rounder out of Pittsburgh. So he's played in this stadium, played in front of these fans for a number of years now. This isn't going to be a new setting or a new environment for him. He's just wearing slightly different colors. So I'm excited to see. I'm really, to be honest, surprised that Tomlin made this move. I watched a clip from Ben Roethlisberger's new podcast. I believe it's called Footballin' with Ben. And he was asked specifically about, Kenny Pickett, and were you surprised that he was brought in the middle of the game last week, and now that he's been named the starter and everything like that. And he basically said, yes, I'm extremely surprised. Mike Tomlin really only was doing this, he imagines, and he's worked with Tomlin for like 20 years. So I would imagine he's correct in this assumption that Tomlin just put in Kenny Pickett to get that spark on offense. And he said, listen, like putting in a new quarterback absolutely is going to spark the offense. It's just what happens. The question is, can you maintain that spark over the course of a season? Can you get that spark into a flame? We'll see. I'm not 100% sure. Kenny Pickett's a rookie. Rookie quarterbacks typically don't do very well in their first season. So I'm assuming that he's probably not going to do the best in his rookie season. But I'm really just surprised that they moved on from Mitch so quickly. Tomlin is not the type of head coach to have such a short leash on somebody, especially when, and Roethlisberger made this point as well, and I made this point last week when talking about the Browns and the Steelers game, was that the entire offense looks stagnant. It's not just solely on Mitch. Is Mitch a great quarterback? No. Is he a good quarterback? No. But can he play the quarterback position in some capacity? Yes, sure. Mitch was not the only problem. The entire offense doesn't look great because they don't use Najee Harris effectively. It's the point I made last week, the point I'm going to make again today. Their offense isn't going to dramatically change just because a new quarterback is in if they still don't understand how to utilize Najee Harris. And by they, I specifically mean Matt Canada, who calls the offense. It's unacceptable what they do with Najee Harris. I don't think Kenny Pickett changes their offense all that much. Is he a better quarterback than Mitch at this moment right now? I think so. I'm pretty confident that he's a better quarterback than Mitch. He makes higher level throws on time and just in a better spot. Mitch can't push the ball downfield the same way Kenny Pickett can. I just think Kenny Pickett's the better option. He's who I would have opened the season with if I was the Steelers head coach. Mike Tomlin been doing a whole lot better job than I am in terms of the football world. So who am I to question his decision? But I'm glad he did bring in Kenny Pickett, even though I am shocked that a change was made in the middle of week 4. Seems pretty interesting for the Steelers given their history. Now, Javonte Williams tore his ACL and I believe his LCL in his right knee. It's terrible. This guy had such a great rookie season. He comes into year 2 looking really good. He seems to be the lead back because Melvin Gordon just keeps on fumbling, just lacing his arms up with lamb grease and going out there and just every time he gets hit, just I'll let go of this one. I'm good. So Javonte Williams really did look like he was going to kind of take that next step into stardom and be that franchise running back for the Broncos. And it sucks to see his promising season get cut so early. Now, in the last episode, I talked about picking up Latavius Murray in fantasy because Alvin Kamara was kind of questionable for week 5. Latavius Murray has now been signed by the Denver Broncos, and that is incredible news because he should now be the lead back in Denver. I'd be very surprised, very, very, very surprised if Melvin Gordon got more carries than Latavius Murray because Melvin Gordon has not been putting the best stuff on tape. And Latavius Murray is an absolute fucking animal. Dude's a beast. He never should be on a practice squad. I don't care how old he gets. He is a beast. And I think he's going to get the majority of the touches. So I'm really excited to see what Latavius Murray does. This is going to be like his 6th team, I think, in like 4 years. I genuinely don't think I have the mental capacity to understand what NFL teams are missing in Latavius Murray. He's never had a bad season. He's really never had a bad performance in a game, but we should keep him on practice squads. And then every time he does get an opportunity, he's by far the best running back on the field. I'm not a scout. I'm not a head coach. Maybe there's a reason for it. But Latavius Murray is a fucking animal, and he's going to do great things in Denver. So I'm really, really excited to see that. Now I'm going to do week 5 preview. I'm going to talk just a bit about every single game coming up and then predict the winner. Maybe on Monday of next week when I do episode 4, maybe I'll talk about where I was right and where I was wrong. Who's to say? I'm just an idiot. So we got Thursday night football tonight. That's going to be the Broncos playing against the Colts. It's going to be a low-scoring game. None of these teams can have a good offense. I don't know what the deal is. The Broncos are without Javonte Williams and Randy Gregory on defense. And then the Colts are without Jonathan Taylor. Not that I really think it matters. They weren't using him properly when he was on the field anyway. So what does it matter if he's in the game or not in the game? Their offense is going to be boring and dull and not going to do a whole lot. I think the Broncos have scored over 20 points one time this season, and the Colts have scored 20 points or less in every single one of their games. So hit the under on this game. It seems like a no-brainer to me, which is probably why the over is going to hit, but whatever. I'm going with the under here. And I think the Broncos are going to end up pulling this game out. They just seem to be a little bit more cohesive than the Colts. I don't really understand what's going on with the Colts. Their roster year over year improved, and they're doing significantly worse. So I don't know. I don't really understand what's going on, but the Broncos, I think, are going to pull this one out. Now, in London, the first game on Saturday, the Packers are going to be playing the Giants. This is going to be a blowout. There's been a lot of press and a lot of news about, like, this is the first time two teams with a winning record are going to be playing together in London. And, this is the first time we're going to have an MVP quarterback, or this is the first time there's going to be a leading rusher, or whatever nonsense they're trying to do to hype up this game as if the Giants are a good team or a legit contender or they're going to give the Packers any sort of problems. They're not. They're going to get their fucking asses kicked by the Packers. It's not going to be close. It's not going to be a fun game to watch if you're a Giants fan. Saquon Barkley's probably going to do pretty well just because he's on pace to have a really good season. He's been playing really well up until this point. I don't think that's going to change just because the rest of the team is terrible. So Packers are going to win this game, in my opinion. The Steelers are playing against the Bills. This is Kenny Pickett's first start as the Steelers quarterback in a regular season game. I'm really excited to see what all he can do. Unless the Steelers make a dramatic change, I think the Bills are going to pull this one out. They're 0-7 or 0-8 now when TJ Watt's not playing. He's not playing, so I'm just going to follow the trend and say, hey, they're probably going to lose this game. What I want to see from the Bills, though, is can their offense come back into form like they were in weeks 1 and week 2? Week 3 and 4, they were a little bit stagnant. They weren't doing all of the things that makes the Bills' offense so good. I think Josh Allen, I say it every episode, he's going to Josh Allen. He's going to do well. So I want to see the Bills' offense go back to that week 1, week 2 dominant form that they were in. So I think they're going to pull this one out. You got the Chargers and the Browns. I highlighted this one about 2 weeks ago because David Njoku is going to get covered up by Derwin James here. And, I think J.C. Jackson is actually not playing. So maybe Amari Cooper is going to be wide open every play. But I think the Chargers are going to pull this one out. This is a game of two teams who are really good on paper, who are not actually great teams. And they're going to be going head to head. I think it's going to be interesting. I don't know that it's going to be necessarily fun to watch. I mean, Justin Herbert and the Chargers offense is always going to be fun to watch, but the Browns seem to be dominating in terms of time of possession and running the ball a whole lot because Jacoby Brissett can only throw the ball about 10 yards when he's like fully fresh and ready to go. So, I don't really think this one's going to be all that exciting. Chargers are probably going to pull this one out, in my opinion. Now, the Bears are playing the Vikings. And I work with Bears fans. I live in Chicago. So I'm around Bears fans all day, every day, and they are by far the most delusional people I have ever been around in my entire life. Every year and every week, they assume they're going to win because they have Justin Fields, who has yet to prove that he can actually complete a pass. And their defense isn't playing well. Their number one running back is out. They don't have any receiving weapons except Darnell Mooney, who's 5'11". I just don't have a ton of faith in the Bears as a whole. But it's hilarious whenever they go against a division rival like the Vikings because they're like, oh man, we're easily going to beat this game. We're playing Kirk Cousins. No problem. Well, Kirk Cousins is a significantly better quarterback than Justin Fields. The Vikings have shown week in and week out that they're a good team, and the Bears have shown week in and week out that they suck. So I don't understand what the conversation here is. The Vikings are going to win this game. It's not going to be close. It's not going to be fun. And it is what it is. Now, the Lions are going to be playing the Patriots. This is, I think, going to be a really fun game. I'm not sure if Mac Jones, Brian Hoyer, or Bailey Zappi is going to play because Bill Belichick doesn't actually say anything in any of his press conferences, so we have to wait for the injury report to come out there. But what I'm really interested to see is, can Jared Goff play at a high level against a Bill Belichick defense? That's the big question for me in this game because he has played phenomenally this season, and I need to see, can he play phenomenally against a Bill Belichick defense? Who's to say? But I'm excited to find out. I think overall the Lions are going to figure out a way to pull this one out, but who knows? Bill Belichick is the best quarterback, head coach of all time. I imagine he's got some good things dialed up for them to win. Now the Seahawks are going to be playing the Saints. Andy Dalton played last week as the Saints starting quarterback. I believe he's going to be the starting quarterback again this week. He played well last week. I assume he'll play well this week as well. The Seahawks don't really have a defense that's really worth a fuck, so I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do. Chris Olave, their rookie wide receiver out of Ohio State, has been playing well as well, so excited to see what that offense is going to do, what that offense looks like. And if Alvin Kamara is going to be in this game, I think the Saints may have a shot. Now, Geno Smith has been playing surprisingly well. In all of my outtakes of the show so far, I've basically been burying the guy, and I'm starting to realize that that might not be entirely accurate. He might be actually a really good quarterback this season, but the Saints always have a good defense. And I'm excited to see what he does against a really good defense because I just don't think they've really played that great of defenses. Last week they played the Lions and put up like 48 points or something fucking ridiculous. So let's see how Geno Smith and the Seahawks respond to a good defense. I think if Alvin Kamara is out, the Seahawks win this game. I think if he's in, the Seahawks might lose, but we'll see how that goes. Now the Dolphins are playing against the Jets. Tua Tagovailoa is out for this game. Teddy B is going to be taking his spot. And he didn't play the best when he came in, but he also didn't play the worst. So we'll see how he does. I have the Dolphins still winning this game. I don't think the Jets are very good, even though all of their players are performing really well in fantasy. There's just something that's not quite clicking. I haven't actually seen the Jets play yet this year, so I'm going to be targeting this game as one to watch because I do want to see how Zach Wilson plays. I mean, 3 interceptions last week, 1 rushing touchdown. It doesn't make me feel great about him. He has all the arm talent in the world, but so does Kyler Murray, so did Jamarcus Russell, right? Like, let's stop talking about what their ceiling is and let's talk about where they actually are. So I think the Dolphins are going to win this one regardless because the Jets just aren't very good, but I'm excited to see and watch Zach Wilson play. Take a quick sip here. Now the Falcons are going to be playing the Bucks this weekend. I'm interested to see how Tom Brady will play. The news about his potential divorce with Giselle, I'm sure, is weighing heavily on his mind. Now, I'm not necessarily too concerned about it affecting his on the field play. Typically, NFL stars and quarterbacks in particular are able to do a really good job compartmentalizing some challenging things on and off the field so that their on field performance does not get affected. We saw him do this when his mother, I believe, was going through cancer and he ended up winning a Super Bowl that season. I'm not entirely concerned that it's going to affect his on the field play that much, but we'll see. The Bucs overall haven't looked great, but the Falcons are terrible. So, I mean, the Bucs are going to win this game. Can Marcus Mariota play at a high level? He has yet to show that he can, or that he will, or that really he has the ability to. We'll see how that goes, but I think the Bucs are going to win this one and win it pretty easily here. Titans against the Commanders. They're just two uneventful teams. I don't really give a shit either way here. Neither of these teams really excites me. So I think the Titans win because the Commanders seem to suck, but who's to say? You got the Texans and the Jaguars playing on Sunday as well. This is going to be a very easy game for the Jaguars to win because the Texans fucking stink. I'm curious to see if Davis Mills can step up his play through 4 weeks into the season. It looks like the answer is no, but we'll see what happens. He also has absolutely no receiving targets, so he doesn't really have any help when he does need to throw the ball. Damian Harris, he's going to have a good game because he's Damian Harris and he's a beast. But the Texans are really looking like they're going to go 0-16-1 this year. My question is, can Trevor Lawrence bounce back from his abysmal game last week? It's going to be in good weather, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, it's at Houston. I could be mistaken there, but it's going to be, I believe, in an indoor stadium. He's not going to have the same sort of issues that he had last week. So I think he's going to have a really good game, and I think the Jaguars are going to win this one pretty easily. The 49ers are going to take on the Panthers this weekend as well. 49ers are going to win this game. It's not a secret. It's not even going to be close. I hope it's not going to be close. I mean, the Cardinals-Panthers game should not have been close. The Cardinals gifted them pretty much everything that the Panthers got. So if the 49ers just don't gift the Panthers things, I think it's going to be a pretty easy game. Baker Mayfield is not the biggest problem in Cleveland. Everybody's burying the guy. It's not really warranted. I broke down why that wasn't really warranted, especially as it pertained to last week's game against the Cardinals, why it wasn't his fault. His offensive line just was not adjusting to what the defense was doing, and it led to 9 batted passes. So can't really have that or put all that much blame on Baker. 49ers pull this one out. Cowboys are playing the Rams. Can Cooper Rush make his 5th start and 5th win? Potentially. Given what we've seen from the Rams thus far this year, wouldn't really put it past Cooper Rush to do that. But the Cowboys seem to just want to be the Cowboys, which is have a good team, have no legitimate reason to lose, and will continue to lose. So we'll see. This is going to be a good game, I think, in terms of offensive play. The defenses of both of these teams don't seem to be outstanding at the current moment. So we'll see. We'll see. I think the Rams might be able to pull this one out, though, to be honest, just because Cooper Rush, this is his 5th start. Yes, he's won his first 4, but Matt Stafford and the Rams and Sean McVay have been there, have done that, and I think against a younger squad, the Rams should be able to pull this one out. Eagles are going to play against the Cardinals. This is a game that I guarantee you people are talking about as game of the week, and it's going to be really competitive, this, that, and the other thing, but the Cardinals are not a solid team. They're not solid. The Eagles are. They've had tough opponents up until this point, aside from the Commanders, because the Commanders blow. But the Eagles should win this one and win it handily. I'm not concerned about it. We'll see if the Cardinals can get something going, but the Eagles are going to start out the season 0-5. They're the best team in the league right now. I don't see the Cardinals knocking off the best team. It doesn't seem realistic to me. Bengals are going to be playing the Ravens. I'm really excited about this game because it seems like it's the match made in heaven because the Bengals love to come from behind and win, and the Ravens love to blow big leads. So it seems like this should be the game to watch. The Bengals are going to win this one because they love to come from behind, and the Ravens don't know what to do with the lead once they get it. And the last game of the week is the Raiders and the Chiefs. Chiefs are going to win this one. They are one of the best teams in the NFL right now. Their offense looks great. Their defense is clicking. They're not a top 5 defense, but top 10, top 15, I would say they're pretty solid. So I think they're going to be really, really good. Josh McDaniels doesn't seem to have everything all figured out as the Raiders head coach yet. Will that change? Potentially. Will it change at this game? No, I don't think so. So now we're going to do the power rankings. And when I do power rankings, I do the top 12 teams because, to be honest, doing a top 32 doesn't make a lot of sense. Because what does it matter if you're the 13th best team or the 32nd best team? Either way, you're not making it to the playoffs. So why does it matter who's 13th best and who's 32nd best? To me, it doesn't matter. But here we are anyway. We're going to do the top 12 because 12 teams make the playoffs. So it seems to make the most sense. At number 12, the Los Angeles Rams just snuck their way onto this list. They are down 3 from where they were last week. They just don't look great. I've talked about them ad nauseum at this point. So if you're interested on hearing why, please watch the earlier segments of the show. At number 11, we got the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're down 1 spot after losing to the Eagles. Typically, I won't move a team down by losing to the best team in the league, but it was the manner in which the Jacksonville Jaguars lost, Trevor Lawrence in particular being the main reason why they lost that game, that bumped them down on this list. Number 10, we have the 49ers. They're up 2 spots from last week. They were number 12 last week after a good win over the Rams, where they just dominated on all facets of the game. They've moved up 2 spots to the number 10 slot. The Bucks are number 9 on this list, down 1 from last week after losing to the Chiefs. They just don't look great. There's a lot of off the field things going on in Tampa, in Florida, in Tom Brady's personal life. And there's just a lot going on. It doesn't seem like they're all clicking or all on the same page. Nobody seems to be healthy at the same time. Cole Beasley just retired. I don't really know. The Bucks seem to kind of be a dumpster fire right now. I won't lie. So they're bumped down. They're still a top 12 team. They're going to make the playoffs and they're going to play well. But are they Super Bowl contenders right now? Kind of fringe. You know what I mean? So they're down 1. The Ravens are in 8th this week. They are down 4 from last week because they blew yet another big lead against a, frankly, better team. So if they're going to keep jumping out to these big leads, they have to figure out a way to hold on to those big leads, but they don't seem to know how at this point. Number 7 is the Bengals. Last week, they were not on this list, so they have jumped up really far to the number 7 spot. They had a good win this past week. They are now 2-2, and I think the Bengals are really starting to fire on all cylinders and have figured out the formula to win big games. And we'll really get the real feel of which is the better team between the Ravens and the Bengals this week when they go head to head, but I think the Bengals are the 7th best team in the league right now. At number 6, we have the Vikings. They were in the 7th spot last week. They come up again after another big win. Really excited to see what the Vikings do this week against the Bears. I think they're just going to put on an absolute fucking clinic. So excited to see that. They're a good team. They're a really, really good team. The Packers have no change this week. They are still at number 5 just because their rookie receivers aren't quite at the level that we need them to be at. in order for the Packers to really make a sustained playoff push and maybe a deep Super Bowl run. I just don't think they have the experience to this point that, the rest of the teams have. So they're at number 5. If they continue to stack up win after win and the receivers are making good progress and they can all stay healthy, I think they'll fly up this list as well. But the Packers are really never out of anything with Aaron Rodgers under center. Number 4, we have the Dolphins. They're down 2 spots from last week, mostly because Tua Tagovailoa is out. They may move down again this next week if they were to lose with Teddy B as quarterback. But I think with Tua as their starting quarterback, they're a significantly better team. So excited to see when he does come back, whenever that is. Let's not rush him back onto the field like last time. But they're in number 4. Now, the Buffalo Bills, no change this week. They're in the 3rd spot. Their offense doesn't seem to be all there all the time. Their defense is a little banged up. They don't have Micah Hyde in the secondary, although Jordan Poyer is going fucking bananas over there. So excited to see that. They're finding ways to win tight games. Well, they found a way to win a tight game. They lost to the Bengals or the Dolphins just because they run out of time. So they have small things to clean up, and they'll be one of the best teams in the league. They are already, but potentially number 2, number 1. Number 2 is the Kansas City Chiefs. They're up 4 spots from number 6 last week after a huge win against the Bucs. Pat Mahomes and this Chiefs team just look unstoppable. They're dominating, and they're just having a great time out there, and I'm loving it as a mostly impartial fan. And in the number 1 spot, there's absolutely no change, because why would there be? The Eagles are the best team in the NFL right now. I don't anticipate that changing over the course of the next week, 2 weeks, or anything like that, unless they just completely fall apart. They're the best team in the NFL. So now we're going to do a quick segment I like to call fantasy starters and fantasy sitters. It's self-explanatory. I'm going to tell you who you should be starting and who you should be sitting, as the title would lead you to believe. You should be starting any and everybody on the Jaguars. They're playing against the Texans. Specifically start the running backs. James Robinson, I know he was a little bit banged up last week. You should start him. He breaks tackles at a ridiculous clip, and the Texans are, I believe, the worst in the league in terms of completed tackles, as in they miss so many tackles. They're leading the league in missed tackles. So you should absolutely be playing the running backs. I mean, Travis Etienne as well. Told you guys to sit him last week because he doesn't get the same target share or the same amount of carries that James Robinson does. You should start him this week. They're going to utilize him in a couple different ways. Jamal Agnew also is probably going to get thrown in the mix because the Texans can't diagnose route concepts or offensive formations or anything like that. So they don't make any adjustments in terms of coverage, and it leaves people wide the fuck open, like we saw happen 4 times with Jamal Agnew last week. So Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, Marvin Jones in deeper leagues, James Robinson and Travis Etienne in deeper leagues, and then Evan Ingram, depending on who your starting tight end, he should get some playing time as well. So depending on who your tight end is, start Evan Ingram. If you have like Kelsey or some TJ Hawkinson, right, don't start him. But if you have like Kyle Pitts, it might be a good week to kind of toss in Evan Ingram just to kind of see and feel out what that looks like. You should be starting George Pickens with Kenny Pickett now under center for the Steelers. I think George Pickens should get more targets. I told you last week, if he was still on your waivers or a free agent in one of your leagues, you should pick him up as maybe a depth spot potential wide receiver 3/flex guy. You should start him this week just to see what he's all about, especially if you're in a deeper league and you don't quite have as many wide receivers on your roster. We're starting to see his target share pick up significantly. He's had 15 targets in the past 2 weeks. on, I think, 9 or 11 receptions for almost 200 yards. You should be starting this guy absolutely this week as a flex slash wide receiver 3. Darnell Mooney, especially in deeper leagues, might be a good option this week. The Bears seem to understand that passing is part of the modern offense 5 weeks into the season, so maybe they'll throw the ball more. I personally am a little concerned about it, but it seems like they're starting to figure it out. So deeper league, throw Darnell Mooney in there if you have like an injury or something like that, or you just want a flyer. He might have a pretty solid game this week. Now, for the players you should be sitting this week, Allen Robinson, you might want to just cut him altogether. He is underproductive. He's underutilized. He doesn't seem to have any chemistry with Matt Stafford. In week 1, his routes looked lazy. To this point, he hasn't really looked any better. So you should definitely be sitting him for sure. It's not even a question. I wouldn't even have him on my roster. He didn't play well in his last season with the Bears. He's not playing well in his first season with the Rams. Let's keep him on the bench or in the free agent pool. Kyle Pitts, you should be sitting him. Go out and go get Will Dissly, Evan Ingram, Tyler Conklin, somebody who's been putting up points in a consistent basis. Kyle Pitts has only had one game over 10 points this season in PPR leagues, so sit his ass down. I saw Twitter like a whole bunch today and yesterday with all these memes about how they have to start Kyle Pitts. If you want to win games, you might want to sit the guy. I don't really understand why people have to play players who they know aren't going to be getting a ton of looks. Kyle Pitts is one of those guys right now. He is a freak talent. He's a great tight end, but he doesn't get the ball. So bench, bench, bench. And then you should be sitting every single player on the Giants except Saquon Barkley. There's a big question mark right now at quarterback. Tyrod Taylor has been declared out for this game in London. Daniel Jones is questionable. It seems like he's going to play because the Giants didn't sign Jake Fromm or anybody else to their roster for that quarterback position. So it seems like Daniel Jones is going to play, but there's still no wide receivers for him to throw to. And yeah, just start Saquon Barkley and sit everybody else. The last thing I'm going to talk about today is going to be the FanDuel Challenge. I talked about in last episode how I lost every single bet except for one, which made me 98 cents. So off to a very poor start. But this week, the only thing I'm going to talk about in terms of advanced bets is going to be my no sweat same game parlay. So let me pull that up for you really quick and we'll dive into it. So the bet this week for the same game parlay, Latavius Murray, anytime touchdown scorer, under 42.5 points. Russell Wilson to throw over 231.5 yards, and Nyheim Hines over 29.5 receiving yards. With Jonathan Taylor out, they have to do something. I think it's going to be Nyheim Hines. That's my no sweat same game parlay, and I hope it hits $5 to win like close to 300. Anyway, thank you all so much for stopping by and hanging out with an absolute doofus for however long I've been recording. Really appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do. New videos every Monday, Thursday, and then occasionally some segments during the week when I can figure out how to do that. I did it once, so hopefully I can do it some more. Appreciate you. Have a good one.